Okay, emergency press conference. Ripple is undermining American prosperity and freedom.
Larry Fink, Jack Mallers, and Dan Morehead have all issued dire warnings all on the same day. Smash the like button, subscribe to our channel for daily crypto updates. If you hold crypto in 2025, you need to be prepared for what comes next. First, Jack Mallers, he says that he has confirmed that Ripple's XRP is spending millions to undermine a strategic Bitcoin reserve in America. It's not just that they want XRP to be included in Trump's digital asset reserve, which I'm sure they do, but they also want to exclude Bitcoin. This is a huge story if true, and he says he's confirmed this. Now, he is a Bitcoin maximalist, so I don't know. You listen, you see for yourself.
Okay, emergency press conference. Ripple is undermining American prosperity and freedom. I can confirm Ripple is actively spending millions of dollars trying to undermine a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the United States of America. A Bitcoin strategic reserve would be one of the most important economic announcements in American history. It would be the first positive economic announcement that comes from the United States in the last 100 years. In 1933, the U.S. made an economic announcement. What was it? We're confiscating your gold. In 1971, the U.S. made an economic announcement. What was it? We're divorcing ourselves from the gold standard so that we can debase your money and inflate your life. In 2008, the U.S. made an economic announcement. What was it? It was, we are bailing out and protecting private corporations, banks, and Wall Street at the expense of you, the public. If the U.S. goes on to make an economic announcement that is the support of a Bitcoin strategic reserve, it will not act against its people in the best interest of the public. It will do the opposite. This is a money that is owned, operated, and governed by the people. Governments and corporations own a fraction of this network. Who owns it? Who had first access? The people, the public. This is about being pro-industry, pro-jobs, pro-energy, pro-growth, pro-technology. This is about solving our deficits. This is about leaning into the future and investing in prosperity for generations to come. A money that we don't control, but that we support, that both aids to solve our country's biggest problems and promotes the world we want to see as Americans and its people. Now, Ripple. Ripple is a for-profit company. It prints its own token in XRP, and it is asking the U.S. government to support its monopoly. I ask you this, why should the U.S. government back a privately owned currency? This is corporate lobbying disguised as innovation. This is corporate lobbying disguised as tech, growth, jobs, industry. Ripple created all of its currency, issued it to themselves, and relies on the public to buy it. This is not the money for the people. This is not in the best interest of the public. This is in the best interest of a private corporation. This is an economic announcement that would be like 2008, that would be like 1971, that would be like 1933. This is against what this new administration and President Trump stands for. This is against the best interest of the United States of America. It is absurd and ridiculous, and Ripple needs to stand down immediately. Not only are they undermining future prosperity in the United States, benefiting from the technological innovation that is Bitcoin, but they are also trying to take advantage of the situation and benefit themselves. Call your representatives and demand an investigation into Ripple's lobbying efforts. Tweet publicly. Post your comments publicly. I've begun fighting back. I will not stand for this. I am an American. I plan to have children and raise them in America. I will not let Ripple undermine our prosperity, freedom, and benefiting from Bitcoin, a neutral, fair money for the people, for the public. Because this isn't just about Bitcoin versus Ripple. It's about whether the future of money belongs to the people or to private corporations. And it is up to us to decide.
Smash the like button if you agree with this. Comment your opinion if you disagree with this. Jack is a Bitcoin maxi. So, to me, it seems like he's coming at this from more of an ideological, emotional place, because it is being reported now that based on Trump's executive order, Trump might do a basket of crypto coins for the stockpile, not just Bitcoin. Trump might make a crypto basket of coins to put in a U.S. strategic digital asset reserve. So despite the reports, I found this next expert's opinion very interesting. Dan Morehead, CEO of Pantera Capital, has some thoughts. Dan is very logical here. He says, do not be fooled. He loves crypto, but this is exactly what he expects is most likely to happen.
So let's talk about that, the Bitcoin strategic reserve. What format do you think it's going to be? Because we saw some noise on the tape today that it might not just be Bitcoin, it might be other US crypto assets, XRP or whatever it may be, Solana. What's your thought on all of this? Or is the US going to be openly buying crypto? Is it going to be stuff that they've seized and ongoing seizure from criminal stuff? What do you think?
This is just my own professional hunches, but I think what will happen is the U.S. will do a strategic reserve, but just Bitcoin. The analog would be old school gold, Fort Knox. We have an enormous amount of gold stored as a currency reserve. We don't have palladium or silver or anything else, right? So it's easy to get one very well-known thing that has 60-something% market share through. So if I were a betting man, I would say it's just a Bitcoin strategic reserve, not kind of blockchain generally. And there's actually 3 different ways the president could, or the United States could, acquire new Bitcoins. The first one is the president could decide to direct the U.S. Marshal Service to stop selling the Bitcoins that the U.S. has seized from criminals. That is about $14 billion of crypto. And for comparison, we have $650 billion of old school gold. So, it's a pretty small amount relative to other things. There is a old thing called the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which allows the president, by executive order, to stabilize currencies, and no one's tested whether Bitcoin's like a currency or not a currency in that definition, but it probably is. So the president could do some of that. And then Congress, I think, would have to pass any legislation to buy it like a significant amount, like we really wanted to do. Sometimes people talk about buying 1 million Bitcoins or whatever. That would take Congress, but there's been a huge swing in Congress too. So it's not unthinkable. Obviously prior to this election, that would have been unthinkable. But from what tallies I've seen, the majority of the people in the House, 270 or so, support crypto, and in the Senate it's probably a lot less, maybe 20 or 25. So it's definitely something that could happen. But the point being, there's 3 different ways that Bitcoin could end up staying on or getting bought by the U.S. government, and I think at least 1 or 2 of those will happen, and maybe all 3.
And then that begs the question of who next. We know the Middle East is doing it, whether it's via their family offices, but maybe not directly in the sovereign wealth funds. It makes total sense for them because they want to be part of this entire thing. So what do you think, Middle East, next major player?
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
By the way, the best place to buy Bitcoin is through our sponsor, the Fold app. Scan this QR code or use our link below, download the Fold app, and get 20,000 sats, about $15, when you make your first Bitcoin purchase. The best way to increase your Bitcoin stack is to use the Fold app for your everyday purchases. This is an infinite Bitcoin glitch, because I was going to buy stuff like this anyway, Best Buy, Amazon, DoorDash. I've earned so much more Bitcoin since I started regularly using the Fold app. Fold app has a direct deposit option, so you can get paid in Bitcoin. Just, download it, get your Fold card, start today, scan this QR code, do it now. Is there another crypto besides Bitcoin that should be included in the strategic stockpile? I guess there are many contenders. Obviously, Ethereum is the next obvious contender, but now we're seeing filings for spot ETFs from Solana, multiple for Litecoin. Even Bitwise now is filing for a Dogecoin ETF. So I don't know. I think Bitcoin should definitely be included in the stockpile, but who knows what Trump could do. I could easily see Trump doing a whole basket of cryptos in the stockpile, but to me, Bitcoin 100% for sure. You comment your thoughts. Finally, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, drops the hammer. Here he issues a dire warning about markets and the economy in 2025. I was surprised he feels so strongly about this. Listen.
Larry Fink warns of inflation. We're not done with inflation. Larry's very worried about inflation. Do you think the market's being too complacent about the inflation story?
No, I think the bond market is the best reflection of what's going on in the world. It is the barometer for every politician, for every central bank. It really informs us every day where the mood of the global economy. And that I believe the bond market is indicating that inflation may be higher than we think. The genie may be coming out of the bottle.
Do you think the Fed's done cutting rates this year?
No, they still have room to cut. That will create a more steepening of the yield curve. So I think, the next few months of data and information will identify it. I would say to you the economy is very strong.
And then in this next interview, he goes on to say how all this relates to Bitcoin. Listen.
As I became a student of crypto, it was very clear to me that crypto is a currency of fear. And that's okay.
To some extent.
Yeah, but that's okay. Because if you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you could have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true and you see that it could be a proper hedge against maybe hope security or equities, the question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, but it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
So there you have it. With Bitcoin consolidating at its highs, how could you not be bullish? I think crypto is about to enter its next leg up. I'm very bullish on altcoins too. Whether they're included in the reserve or not, the fact that we're talking about it and everything else going on, I'm extremely bullish on altcoins this year. Big top altcoin video dropping soon. Subscribe, stay informed, stay tuned.